in the very midst of suffering and confusion. Shakyamuni Buddha, the fully enlightened one, to whom we bow in gratitude. Mother of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and all beings, nourishing, holding, and healing all. Bodhisattva Gaia, Great Mother Earth, precious jewel of the cosmos, to whom we bow in gratitude. Radiating light in all directions, source of life on earth, Mahavairochana Tathagata, Great Father Son, Buddha of infinite light and life, to whom we bow in gratitude. Showing the way fearlessly and compassionately, the stream of all our ancestral teachers, to whom we bow in gratitude.
Chúng mình sẽ khai chuông mỏ trước khi mình tụng kinh. respected Thai and dear beloved community, this morning, if anyone who has not had the time to apply to receive the transmission of the 5 mindfulness trainings, but you would like to receive them today's ceremony, you are invited to please stand up, announce your name, and join the aspirant in the middle of the hall. Aspirants representative, Ordini, now please all stand up.
Namo Shakyamunaye Buddhaya. Dear respected teacher, dear noble Sangha, please listen to us with compassion. We would like to make a formal request.
When you hear the sound of the bell, please touch the earth.
Namo Shakyamunaye Buddhaya. Dear respected teacher, dear noble Sangha, we recognize that we are very fortunate to have met the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Thanks to the many good seeds sown in us by our blood ancestors and spiritual ancestors, we have been lucky enough to discover the path of mindfulness. This path helps us to practice the art of stopping and living deeply in the present moment so we can nourish, transform, and heal ourselves and bring joy to ourselves and others. We know that the 5 mindfulness trainings are a complete and beautiful expression of this path. Today, with all our heart, we aspire to receive the 5 precious trainings from our spiritual ancestors and from you, the noble Sangha. We understand clearly that following this path, we will be in the company of bodhisattvas and that every moment can be a moment of happiness. We humbly ask our dear spiritual ancestors and noble Sangha to accept our request and to transmit to us the trainings.
We are happy to accept your request. You are very fortunate to have discovered this beautiful path and to have the opportunity to commit yourself to it. In order to be able to continue on the path, you will always need a Sangha. It is very important for you to join or to create a Sangha where you live, so you can realize your aspiration.
We thank you, dear respected teacher, and dear Noble Sangha for accepting our request. We will follow your precious advice with all our hearts.
When you hear the sound of the bell, please touch the earth. Ordini, have a seat. Sangha common procedure.
Has the entire community assembled?
Yes, the entire community has assembled.
Is there harmony in the community?
Yes, there is harmony.
Why has the community assembled today?
The community has assembled to perform the Sangha Karman of transmitting the 5 mindfulness trainings.
Noble community, please listen. Today, Sunday, July 24th, year 2022, has been chosen as the day to transmit the 5 mindfulness trainings. The community has assembled at the appointed time and is ready to transmit and receive the mindfulness trainings in an atmosphere of harmony. Thus, the transmission can proceed. Such is the proposal. Is the proposal clear and complete?
Today, the community has gathered to give spiritual support to our friends who make the vow to practice the 5 mindfulness trainings. Will the entire community please enjoy your breathing and remain mindful when you hear the 3 sounds of the bell. The sound of the bell is the voice of the Buddha, bringing us back to our true selves. Ordinis, on hearing the sound of the bell after the recitation of each line, please touch the earth one time.
Ordinis, please stand up.
Please stand up.
In gratitude to our Father and Mother who have given us life, we bow deeply before the three jewels in the 10 directions.
Giới tử mang ơn cha mẹ sinh thành, cúi đầu kinh lễ tam bảo thường trụ trong mười phương. Please touch the earth. In gratitude to our Father and Mother,
In gratitude to our teachers who have shown us the way to love, understand and live deeply the present moment, we bow deeply before the three jewels in the 10 directions.
giới tử mang ơn sư trưởng giáo huấn, cúi đầu kính lễ tam bảo thường trụ trong mười phương. In gratitude to our teacher,
In gratitude to our friends who guide us and support us in difficult moments, we bow deeply before the three jewels in the 10 directions.
giới tử mang ơn bằng hữu và các bậc thiện tri thức, đã tác thành cho cúi đầu kính lễ tam bảo thường trụ trong mười phương. In gratitude to our friends,
In gratitude to all beings in the animal, plant, and mineral worlds, we bow deeply before the three jewels in the 10 directions.
giới tử mang ơn mọi loài chúng sanh, cây cỏ và đất đá, cúi đầu kinh lễ tam bảo thường trụ trong mười phương. In gratitude to all beings, Odini, have a seat. Ordinate. Now is the time to transmit the 5 mindfulness trainings The 5 mindfulness trainings represent the Buddhist vision for a global spirituality and ethic. They are a concrete expression of the Buddha's teachings on the Four Noble Truths and the Noble Eightfold Path, the path of right understanding and true love, leading to healing, transformation, and happiness for ourselves and for the world. To practice the 5 mindfulness trainings is to cultivate the insights of interbeing or right view, which can be remove all discrimination, intolerance, anger, fear, and despair. If we live according to the 5 mindfulness trainings, we are already on the path of the Bodhisattva. Knowing we are on the path, we are not lost in confusion about our life, or in the present, or in the future, or fear about the future. We will now recite the 5 mindfulness trainings. Listen carefully with a calm and clear mind. Say, yes, I do. Every time you see you have the capacity to receive, learn and practice the mindfulness training read. Ordini, are you ready? Ordini, are you ready? Louder, please. Yes. Thank you. The first mindfulness training, reverence for life.
Aware of the suffering caused by the destruction of life, I am committed to cultivating the insights of interbeing and compassion and learning ways to protect the lives of people, animals, plants, and our earth. I am determined not to kill, not to let others kill, and not to support any act of killing in the world, in my thinking, or in my way of life. Seeing that harmful actions arise from anger, fear, greed, and intolerance, which in turn come from idealistic and discriminative thinking, I will cultivate openness, non-discrimination, and non-attachment to views in order to transform violence, fanaticism, and dogmatism in myself and in the world.
This is the first of the 5 mindfulness training. Do you make a commitment to receive, study, and practice it? Please bow. If you feel comfortable, please show your palm in front of you. If you feel comfortable. The second mindfulness training, true happiness.
Aware of the suffering caused by exploitation, social injustice, stealing, and oppression, I am committed to practicing generosity in my thinking, speaking, and acting. I am determined not to steal and not to possess anything that should belong to others. And I will share my time, energy, and material resources with those who are in need. I will practice looking deeply to see that the happiness and suffering of others are not separate from my own happiness and suffering. That true happiness is not possible without understanding and compassion, and that running after wealth, fame, power, and sensual pleasures can bring much suffering and despair. I am aware that happiness depends on my mental attitude and not on external conditions, and I can live happily in the present moment simply by remembering that I already have more than enough conditions to be happy. I am committed to practicing right livelihood so that I can help reduce the suffering of living beings on earth and stop contributing to climate change.
This is the second of the 5 mindfulness trainings. Do you make commitment to receive, study, and practice it? The third mindfulness training, true love.
Aware of the suffering caused by sexual misconduct, I am committed to cultivating responsibility and learning ways to protect the safety and integrity of individuals, couples, families, and society. Knowing that sexual desire is not love, and that sexual activity motivated by craving always harms myself as well as others. I am determined not to engage in sexual relations without mutual consent, true love, and a deep long-term commitment. I resolve to find spiritual support for the integrity of my relationship from family members, friends, and Sangha, with whom there is support and trust. I will do everything in my power to protect children from sexual abuse and to prevent couples and families from being broken by sexual misconduct. Seeing that body and mind are interrelated, I am committed to learning appropriate ways to take care of my sexual energy and to cultivating the 4 basic elements of true love, loving kindness, compassion, joy, and inclusiveness for the greater happiness of myself and others. Recognizing the diversity of human experience, I am committed not to discriminate against any form of gender identity or sexual orientation. Practicing true love, we know that we will continue beautifully into the future.
This is the third of the 5 mindfulness training. Do you make commitment to receive, study, and practice it? The fourth mindfulness training, love in speech and deep listening.
Aware of the suffering caused by unmindful speech and the inability to listen to others, I am committed to cultivating loving speech and compassionate listening in order to relieve suffering and promote reconciliations and peace in myself and among other people, ethnic and religious groups and nations. Knowing that words can create happiness or suffering, I am committed to speaking truthfully, using words that inspire confidence, joy, and hope. When anger is manifesting in me, I am determined not to speak. I will practice mindful breathing and walking in order to recognize my anger and to look deeply in its roots, especially in my wrong perceptions and lack of understanding of the suffering in myself and in the other person. I will speak and listen in a way that can help myself and other person to release suffering and see the way out of difficult situations. I am determined not to spread news that I do not know to be certain, and not to utter words that can cause division or discord. I will practice right diligence to nourish my capacity for understanding, love, joy, and inclusiveness, and gradually transform anger, violence, and fear that lie deep in my consciousness.
This is the fourth of the 5 mindfulness trainings. Do you make commitment to receive, study, and practice it? The fifth mindfulness training, nourishment and healing.
Aware of the suffering caused by unmindful consumption, I am committed to cultivating good health, both physical and mental, for myself, my family, and my society by practicing mindful eating, drinking, and consuming. I will practice looking deeply into my consumptions of the 4 kinds of nutriments, namely edible foods, sense impressions, volitions, and consciousness. I am determined not to gamble, nor to use alcohol, drugs, or any other products which contain toxins, such as certain websites, electronic games, TV programs, films, magazines, books, and conversations. I will practice coming back to the present moment to be in touch with the refreshing, healing, and nourishing elements in me and around me, not letting regrets and sorrow drag me back into the past, nor letting anxieties, fear, or craving pull me out of the present moment. I am determined not to try to cover up loneliness, anxiety, or other suffering by losing myself in consumption. I will contemplate into being and consume in a way that preserves peace, joy, and well-being in my body and consciousness, and in the collective body and consciousness of my family and my society and the earth.
This is the fifth of the 5 mindfulness trainings. Do you make commitment to receive, study, and practice it? Ordinees, you have received the 5 mindfulness training, which are the foundation of happiness in the family and in society. They are the basic for the aspiration to help others. You should recite the training often, at least once a month, so that your understanding and practice of the 5 mindfulness trainings can grow deeper every day. A mindfulness training recitation ceremony can be organized in the practice center or at home with your friends. If you do not recite the training at least once in 3 months, you lose the transmission, and today's ceremony will be nullified. Dear friends, as a student of Awakened One, you should be energetic in the practicing the way the Buddha have taught to create peace and happiness for yourselves and all pieces. Upon hearing the sound of the bell, please stand up and touch the earth deeply 3 times to show your gratitude to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Ordini, please stand up. Ordini, have a seat. This is to certify that Simon Dave have received all of the 5 mindfulness training on the 24th of July in the year 2022 at Pilgrim Monastery with the lineage name Compassionate Aspiration of the Shore. After receiving the 5 mindfulness training, the practitioner commit to study and recite them regularly with a Sangha if possible, so that the practice of the 5 mindfulness training can deepen day by day. If in 3 months the practitioner have not recited the mindfulness trainings at least once, the transmission will no longer effective. The transmission was conducted with the spiritual support of the International Plum Village Dharma Teacher Council, represented by Bhikshu Thích Chân Pháp Ấn and Bhikshuni Thích Nữ Chân Không, Brother Dhamma Siêu and Sister True Emptiness. Now you are the 43 generation of the Lam Tế Linh Chi Dharma School and the 9th generation of Liễu Quán Dharma line. Simon Dave. Nay chứng nhận Miss Trang Tiêu đã tiếp nhận và nguyện hành trì 3 phép quay về nương tựa và nhận 5 giới quý báu vào ngày 24 tháng 7 năm 2022 tại tu viện Bích Nham, New York với pháp danh là Nguyên An Lạc. Giới tử biết rằng sau khi tiếp thọ quy giới phải nên học tập thêm và tham dự những buổi tụng giới cho đều đặn, nếu được với tăng thân địa phương, để thực sự thực tập giới càng ngày càng sâu sắc hơn. Nếu trong 3 tháng mà không tụng giới ít nhất là 1 lần thì lễ truyền quy giới này sẽ mất hiệu lực. Thầy truyền giới đại diện Hội đồng Giáo thọ làng Mai quốc tế, Thầy Thích Chân Pháp Ấn và sư cô Tỳ Kheo Ni Thích Nữ Chân Không thuộc thế hệ thứ 43 của Tông Lâm Tế Linh Chi và thế hệ thứ 9 của phái Liễu Quán. Xin chúc mừng cô. The certificate will hand it to you by your leader of your Dharma sharing after this ceremony. And congratulations, everyone. Congratulations to you too. You're okay? Good. Now, Sangha, please join your palm. We will closing verse.
Transmitting the trainings, practicing the way of awareness. Give Christ to benefit without limit. We vow to share the fruits with all beings. We
Good morning, dear Thầy, dear Sangha. Congratulations again. And I would like to make some announcement for this morning. This morning we do not have a walking meditation. We don't have walking meditation. And breakfast at 8 o'clock and Dhamma talk. And after that, after breakfast, could you help to clean up in your room or somewhere else? And Dhamma talk at 10:30. Yeah. Ah, to promises ceremony at 9 a.m. Where? In a sister pond. We call it Moon Lake Pond. And the meditation hall, could you please stay back and help to set up the hall for the Dhamma talk this morning? Enjoy the last day of the family retreat. Thank you so much. After this, could you please move the mat and cushion to